Big show is next week, so we thought it'd be a good time to take a look back at the best games of 2019 before E3.
Lock and load.
Coming in at number 10, and only because I suck at it, is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice from Software and Activision. This is a beautiful game with glorious visuals and incredible combat mechanics. You are going to need to learn how to block and dodge and parry, and I'm telling myself this so that I can watch it later and I can listen to the words and then I can proceed to be terrible at this game. But, you know, you can do it. Rally and play this beautiful game, and you are going to have an incredible time. I know that this is going to be the number one best game for many people out there, but for me, because I just can't beat some of these bosses, almost all of the bosses, it's a really, really hard game, and it constantly tells me how much I am terrible at it, but it's still an incredible experience, and it doesn't matter, even if you suck at it, just keep trying. And just try to navigate through all kinds of nooks and crannies, and you're going to find all kinds of fun and depth and beauty and just sheer joy in this game. And then you'll get mad. Number 9 is Metro Exodus, which was a very fun dystopian escape, even though it's bleak and there's terrible things going on in this dystopian Russia, and you can't trust anybody, and you're going to find all kinds of grotesque abominations out in the wild. It's a much more open experience than we've had in the previous Metro games, which are all good, by the way. All 3 of the big main Metroid titles are really fun. There's some really cool story elements in here that are almost kind of variation. It's almost like a Russian Mad Max, which is cool. I love this franchise, and I think Metro Exodus is a ton of fun. It's a phenomenal game.
You can't miss it.
Number 8 on our list is Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown, and this is a very traditional Ace Combat experience in a way. I mean, it certainly puts you into the cockpit and you're sort of using the cursor to hunt around at enemy targets, and you pull off some slightly unrealistic maneuvers because it's not really a simulation. It's more of, an arcadey type of an experience. I played this on the PlayStation 4, and the PlayStation 4 version also has PSVR support, and I highly recommend jumping into the cockpit and trying that out. It's exhilarating. You just feel like a badass in the skies, and the chatter is actually really fun, and you just get totally sucked into this experience, especially because, you know, in this day and age, these flight combat experiences are few and far between, and so this was a very nice change of pace from all of the other cool action titles that we got so far in 2019. Really, really loved Ace Combat 7. Now, at number 7 is Mortal Kombat 11. There's a lot of numbers in this list, so get ready for that. Mortal Kombat 11 is obviously the state-of-the-art in the Mortal Kombat franchise. They've got away from the days where they used to shoot video of people and then sort of digitize them into the thing, but the characters that they've built along the way, they're starting to edge closer and closer to photoreal, these 3D animated creations that they put in there, obviously with fantastic motion capture support. We actually talked to one of the performance capture actors on EP Live, Eric Jacobus, and he did a bunch of these characters in Mortal Kombat 11. The animations are gorgeous, and all of the fan service and the throwbacks to the Mortal Kombat characters from back in the day, a ton of fun. In general, this is just an extraordinary game. Even if some of the microtransaction stuff pisses you off a little bit, it's a great fighting experience. Coming in at number 6 is Kingdom Hearts 3, and this is just sheer joy, particularly if you play this with a younger player. It's not an especially difficult action RPG experience, but it's really fun and really lovely. The graphics are incredible. Again, taking advantage of some tried and true formulas, but making it super accessible and making it almost look like the movies, you know, particularly when you're running around with the Pixar characters, the Toy Story characters. Extraordinary work here, you know. I have always been a fan of the Kingdom Hearts games. I can't tell you anything about the stories. I don't really know what's going on, except that these Final Fantasy type characters keep running into all these Disneyland characters, and they get into all kinds of trouble. There's a lot of death and then coming back alive, and then you're playing as different characters, and you're like scratching your head, and then Donald Duck says something, and you're like, what did you say, Donald? I don't understand you. And then Goofy's in it. And, you know, like, what else do you need? It's really crazy, it's fun, and the cameos from all of these Disney creations are worth the ticket price, and they clearly spent the time and worked their butts off to make something special, and it pays off big time. Kingdom Hearts 3 is sensational.
Set your heart free.
Coming in at number 5 is Devil May Cry 5. It sounds like I'm just spouting out numbers by this point, doesn't it? But Devil May Cry 5 is very reminiscent of the origin stories of Dante and the early Devil May Cry experiences. It plays just like that. It's difficult and challenging, especially if you ramp up the difficulty level, but it's also incredibly accessible, incredibly familiar for anybody that, is used to the mechanics of Devil May Cry. What's cool about this game is that you play as 3 different characters, and you can choose to play as different ones for particular chapters and different story missions, and you're leveling up and adding all kinds of new weaponry to your arsenal, and the combos are combo-rific and a blast to pull off, and you feel like a frickin' badass. Even if this feels like a game that's kind of out of time and a little bit out of touch with kind of 2019 sensibilities, I think that's also what makes it so special. It's like a throwback to the glory days of 3D action experimentation, and it really nails it. It really does feel, like a mid-2000s experience, but with state-of-the-art set dressing and beautiful visuals and beautiful animations and some laughs, some uncomfortable moments, but more than anything, just sheer fun.
I'll take you up on that gig.
Number 4 is Resident Evil 2, which is a modern-day retelling of the classic Resident Evil game from back in the PlayStation 1 era. This game just looks extraordinary. Beautiful, beautiful work. What they've done is, they've looked at the old pre-rendered backgrounds and environments of Resident Evil 2, and clearly they've made everything in 3 dimensions, and there's a lot more interactive elements, and stuff will bust apart. The zombies feel even more dangerous because you can swivel the camera in every direction and you don't quite know where anybody's going to be popping out of. It's a terrifying, freaky-deaky experience, but it's beautifully made. And it honors the original in some wonderful ways, but it also makes it a fresh new game, particularly when that giant Mr. X, giant hulking beast zombie creature is chasing after you.
Jesus, stay down!
You're like screaming at the top of your lungs while you're playing, "Get away from me!" That's great game making, that's great storytelling, and that's what makes Resident Evil 2 in 2019 a modern day classic. And coming in at number 3 is yet another number. This is The Division 2 from Ubisoft and Massive and Red Storm. This was a massive, no pun intended, global collaboration to build something extraordinary. They've destroyed Washington, D.C., and you just want to explore every nook and cranny of this gorgeous city that they built for us. Even if it's been devastated, even if there's horror around every corner, you still want to go. Everything's been tuned and juiced, and it just is so addictive. You can ask Blake. He wasn't a big fan of The Division 1, but he couldn't stop playing The Division. I think he's still playing The Division 2. Blake, you should be cutting this, not playing The Division 2, but it's hard to stop playing The Division 2. Once you start, you can't stop. In fact, I played it on the Xbox One for many hours, then I went traveling. I went to Mexico City on a family vacation, took the P65 laptop, and kept playing. It started over, and I'm playing it on both systems now because it's so freaking good. I love The Division 2, and honestly, I can't wait to see where Ubisoft takes this franchise to next. This is extraordinary game development. Now, number 2 is going to be a little contentious for you. Thankfully, it doesn't have a number at the end of it yet, but Days Gone came out earlier this year, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I freaking adore this game. You are chased by zombies, you're chased by zombie wolves and zombie bears. All kinds of grotesque horrors are out there, including humans. As we've seen in shows like The Walking Dead, this kind of is an amalgam of The Walking Dead and Sons of Anarchy, but it was the mechanics of the game that kept me coming back to the experience. I loved getting chased by the hordes. I loved riding my motorcycle. I loved taking out enemy encampments. I was just blown away by the little intricate details. The fidelity of this experience was gorgeous. And of course, Sam Witwer's extraordinary performance as Deke. He's fantastic as Deacon St. John in this. I love Days Gone, and it's number 2 on my list. Now, number 1 on my list is going to surprise the hell out of you. It's Yoshi's Crafted World, which I played on the Nintendo Switch. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and I stand by it. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. Obviously in the vein of the other terrific Yoshi's titles, but I've never enjoyed a Yoshi's game as much as this one since the original Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo. I just loved the aesthetic of it, and I loved the commitment to crafting all kinds of little objects and doodads that would help you solve the puzzles within each of the different worlds. I was really, really impressed with this. Loved the music, loved the visuals, loved playing this with my daughter. I came away just every night that we played this together, just feeling joyful and just elated by this beautiful, beautiful experience. Yes, I know that it feels Like, there's a lot of these kinds of games that you can choose, but I guarantee if you give Yoshi's Crafted World some time, you are going to be as overjoyed and blown away as I was. And that's why it's #1 on my best games of 2019 before E3. Now, we go to E3 and we find out what's in store for us for the rest of the year, and we'll see how much this list changes by the time we get to the Rocket and Ray Gun Awards.